Hey, what's up? My name is Jonathan Fink. I'm the author of the Republic Baseball League, and this is my audiobook series. We'll now continue with Volume 1, The Republic Baseball League, Chapter 6, The Disenfranchised Baseball Player. Professor Dempsey was up before the alarm and the sunrise and was ready to leave the house when Sarah, still in her pajamas, entered the kitchen. Dempsey was anxious to get to the university library long before his first class to research his new idea for his PhD thesis. A little over an hour later, that's just where he was and where he spent the next few hours. Taking a break from reading, he looked at his Apple iPhone and realized it was time to go. He knew he had to get to his office, pick up his slide projector, and set it up in the lecture hall before his students arrived. Usually, his students were already in their seats when Dempsey entered the lecture hall, but not this day. Today, he was leaning against the front wall, waiting for them to stroll in. He was wearing an orange and black jersey of the Salem-Keizer volcanoes, another victim of the COVID-19 pandemic and the canceled 2020 minor league season. Once again, Dempsey knew it was the appropriate attire for the day's subject matter. After the students were in their seats, Dempsey said, "Today, we are going to talk about the economics of labor. While the game of baseball employs many different kinds of workers, from security guards to beer salesmen, from field maintenance personnel to scouts, today's discussion will focus on the workers at the center of the profession, the baseball players, specifically those laboring in the minor leagues." Dempsey asked, "Did you know that unlike Major League ball players, minor leaguers are not allowed to form a union?" Rachel Silver raised her hand to speak and responded to Dempsey's question with a question of her own. Why would MLB's Players Union not include minor leaguers as well, or at least support the formation of a union of their own? Then Corey Gordon raised his hand to speak, and Dempsey nods in his direction and gave him the floor. Corey said that he had no problem with traditional unions that truly benefit their members. However, for several reasons, he had a problem with many unions in America today and gave examples. Some modern unions are big companies force workers to join and pay dues as a condition of employment. Others use tactics to block rival unions from forming. And some, typically run by professional teamsters, often use union dues to support a political agenda. As for Major League ball players, he said that they actually have a pretty good union. However, it was ridiculous that minor leaguers cannot be part of the same union, especially since that's where all major leaguers come from when they get called up to the show. He concluded that if minor leaguers cannot become members of the MLB Players Association, they certainly should be allowed to form their own union. After Corey completed his rant, Dempsey asked the class if anyone else had an opinion on this complex labor issue. R.J. Shaw, a handsome young man with straight black hair, brown eyes, and a trimmed beard, sitting in the center of the last row of the lecture hall, raised his hand to comment. RJ, an international student from Mumbai, India, in his second year at UMKC, whose father was a professional cricket coach, said, "It is ironic to me that baseball is America's pastime. Major League Baseball is not even capitalistic. The league is one big privately owned company. It's a monopoly protected by Congress and the Supreme Court, and its internal economic system is not based on free market capitalism as Adam Smith described in his book, The Wealth of Nations. I would argue that Major League Baseball is run more like an authoritarian dictatorship politically and economically. Its systems closely resembles communism. Under a communist system, such as those in Cuba and China, the citizens suffer. Major League Baseball is essentially planned economy run by the commissioner's office. It really is a monopoly wrapped around an oligopoly of just 30 franchise owners. Even the amateur draft system, the Rule 5 draft, and their fixed salaries for minor league players are forms of socialism or communism. Dempsey smiled, indicating that he clearly enjoyed and no doubt agreed with Shaw's diatribe. He said, "Bravo to you, Mr. Shaw, and well done to you as well, Miss Silver and Mr. Gordon. You all made good points. Now let's take a closer look at just how poorly Major League Baseball treats minor league players." Dempsey walked a few steps to the projector he had set up before class and clicked the first slide of his presentation. It referenced a July 8, 2019 article written by sports journalist Daniel Galem from Patriot News entitled, "Minor League Baseball Salaries Hover at Poverty Level, while Major League Teams Earn Big Profits." The article was part of the reading material Dempsey had assigned for this lecture, so he was sure that his students were familiar with its content. Nevertheless, he wanted to highlight the severe economic burden minor leaguer ballplayers endure. Referencing Galen's article, he noted that as of 2018, the average salary for a minor league baseball player during the regular season, which is contractually prearranged by Major League Baseball, starts at around $6,000 per season in Single A, grows to about $9,350 per season in Double A, and increases to nearly $15,000 a year in Triple A. Surprisingly, minor leaguers do not even get paid during spring training. Finally, the article pointed out that the vast majority of minor league baseball players earn an annual wage below the poverty line, which according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services was $12,490 in 2019. This situation still exists today. As a result, said Dempsey, many minor league ball players take on second and third jobs during the offseason to make ends meet. Dempsey clicked to the next slide in his presentation and said, "You're going to get a kick out of this one, especially the title. It reads, Save America's Pastime Act, an ironically Orwellian name chosen by congressional lawmakers." He told the class that the piece of legislation was included in the 2018 economic spending bill passed by Congress. Shockingly, it modified the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938 to strip minor leaguers of minimum wage protection. He said, "Since baseball's antitrust exemption has been in place since 1922, and because minor league ball players don't have union protection, they were helpless to fight this new law. You can't make this stuff up. Furthermore, management's tight grip on the baseball labor force is not limited to the minor leagues, although that's where the economics are the most extreme." Dempsey explained that even though Major League Baseball players do have a union, they are still oppressed by Major League Baseball team owners. For example, after a team drafts a player into the league, the franchise that selected him owns the rights to that player. Since the 30 MLB teams work together as a cartel, that ball player has no other alternative but to negotiate and sign a contract with the franchise that drafted him. Further, shackling that ball player, the team owns his rights for 6 years before that player can elect free agency and sign with a different ball club. Up until St. Louis Cardinal outfielder Curt Flood got the ball rolling with litigation in 1970, attacking the reserve clause in MLB contracts, players had no bargaining power with the team owners at all. Players were bound to one team forever, subject to the whims of the owner in negotiating their salary, and possibly being traded to another team in another city. Fortunately, the reserve clause in contracts was abolished in 1975, replaced by free agency. Baseball players have been thanking Curt Flood ever since. Dempsey showed the class several more interesting slides on the economics of labor before declaring time up, lecture over. He pointed directly to Rachel, Corey, and RJ and said, "You three, great work once again. For our next class, I'm throwing you all a curveball. Be prepared to learn about the economics of liberty." As the students filed out of the lecture hall, Dempsey mentioned that the youth baseball team that he coached had a game that evening at 6 p.m. at the Kansas City Urban Youth Baseball Academy, and invited his students to attend and watch some quality baseball. He also invited the class to the barbershop on Friday night for a baseball card poker tournament Mo Franklin was hosting. He didn't think he would have any takers, but was inclined to wait and see. End of chapter 6. So far, so good, guys. Hope you're enjoying it. We'll keep going. Chapter 7 coming up soon. You guys take care. God bless.
This month, we have some great sports card stories from across the U.S. and talk to an author from nearby Leawood, Kansas, who has written a book about returning to collecting after 3 decades away.
My day job is I'm a financial advisor, so I've been investing for over 20 years. And a way to express my love for the hobby, I decided, what if I write an investment book, Sports Card Collectors Club, and treat the stock market the same way I would treat the card market. And so I thought, well, how would a day trader invest in cards? How would a venture capitalist buy and sell cards? How would a hedge fund do it? As I would go through my trials and tribulations, I realized that for as much fun as I was having investing, there was something missing. And one day I was watching the Royals game on television, and it was a rain delay. And the Card Life television show came on. I was watching that episode, I was watching Matt Strom open cards and rip packs, and I started getting the warm, fuzzy feeling. I said, this is what I want to be doing. I want to get back to really collecting and ripping cards and building sets. And that's when the story of my book has changed. I go from investing back to collecting.
I'll also open a variety of boxes from different sports. So he hit the home run off me in like the 7th inning. And then in the 8th inning, JT hit a double, so he's standing on second. And Mason Wynn asked him, he's like, hey JT, he's like, I heard Strom collects cards of guys that take him deep. He's like, does that mean he's gonna send me over a couple cards to sign tomorrow? And after the game, we had won. I mean, winning is the only thing that's important to me. So it's like, I was good after the game, whatever, and JT comes up to me and he's like, hey Stromy, he was really genuine. Like he wasn't taking shots. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, when I got to second, Mason asked if you're gonna send a card over for him.
I'm just looking around my basement here, just walls covered with concert posters and toys, and just like, I have no intention of selling these things. I collect because I want to show off the things I love and do it in fun ways. And it just never crossed my mind that, hey, I'm going to go buy this thing just so I can resell it. Like that to me isn't a pure collector mentality. And obviously things change and times change. And, in order for things to survive right now, you have to have that sort of chase for something valuable.
Yeah, it needs to be a circus. You know what? The truth is, I actually watched the live stream on eBay Live with Ken Golden and Logan Paul. They ripped a box of 86 Flair and a box of Series 1 Pokemon. And you know what? It was very entertaining. They're both polarizing characters. I thought it was entertaining. But you know what? After every pull, they immediately are showing the value. And and it begs the question, are we creating, not we, is the industry creating a gambling culture which has a real downside?
It already has. Right. Not created. It's here.
Yeah, and that's a concern. I guess for me, I hope to be an influence where we focus more on collecting, because you know what, when markets crash, collectors don't get hurt at all. Because the Sandy Koufax you bought that because it makes you feel good. It brings back good memories.
Said this one traded for my first big win. Jonathan Fink on the line tonight.
You have created community, so let's talk about that. I went to Rip Night at your shop. Let's rip it on the pack. And I went to your Rip Night 2 years ago, and it was one of the best. I wrote about it in volume 1. It was one of the best times I've ever had. You guys had this giant scoreboard where you had the chase cards, and everyone can buy whatever product you wanted, like buy 3, get 1 free, whatever product, whatever it was. You then, if you pull a Bronny James, you then get another blaster. Or I pulled a Reed Shepherd auto, and then I got a free T-shirt. And I sat around the table with strangers and had the best time ever. So let's talk about how important community is, and what you guys do is provide an anchor for community in our town. How important that is.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, one of our taglines, we say we'll make an offer on anything, but like you said, I mean, we got to pay what it's worth. And so if it's junk wax, it's going to be junk wax prices, which unfortunately, a lot of people end up thinking that their 87 Topps Barry Bonds is going to be a couple $100 or
it's
something.
Worth nothing, people.
brand and notoriety. And so when you're pitching these stories to these athletes, like I've reached out to a couple of different athletes about writing a potential article about their collections and having them kind of share their story. And it's like, yes, like I write for collectibles on SI, which is under the Sports Illustrated umbrella. It does carry weight. Like it does, people recognize that brand. It is important. And so I'm super grateful that I've been given the opportunity to write for that staff.
The top segment that was done by you on you was so well produced, right? Did all that come from the conversation you had with Michael Rubin? Is that how that put you on the map to such an extent that all those opportunities happened? How did that happen? Did you get a call one day?
Said this one traded for my first big win. Jonathan Fink on the line tonight with a pack in hand and a story that bites.
I didn't even collect when I was 3 years old, like when this card came out, but you just pulled a good one. Roman Anthony, from Dempsey, I love Wichita State. Yeah. I would have been thrilled if he went to Tulane, but his parents have roots in Nebraska. So for him, it was coming home. And so Nebraska got a good one. And so I'm not surprised that program's on the rise because they got a great stadium, they have great resources, they got a great fan base with people like you, and their recruiting is fantastic. They're finding the talented kids. So
yeah, in fact,
the Big Ten.
So yeah, Will Bolt, the head coach, he actually played at Nebraska when I was traveling with the Nebraska team in the late '90s. He was down at Texas A&M when I worked at Texas A&M. Rob Childress is the pitching coach, and I was on the hiring committee that hired him away from Nebraska to come down at Texas A&M, and they're thrilled that he's back here in Nebraska. He's a genius. The number of players in pro ball right now that went through Rob Childress, so he'll be under good guidance when he gets up here to Nebraska. They're good people.
One kid found a mantle in the rain. One old friend came back with the same old chain.
Talk to me about the reaction of the players, the other players, when they see this bat putter. Are they flipping out? They freak out when they see it?
And they see it and they're like, they just stop. Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
So the reason why I asked that question is because I had that experience literally yesterday. So when I first got the bat putter, I think I bought it 6 months ago, and it's customized for the Republic Baseball League, which is so cool. And now that I realize, now that I love it so much, and I got to use it yesterday, I'm like, I got to start buying them for different people. Like anyone's a guest on my show, they're gonna get a bat putter, okay? Yeah. But the point is, I had never used it because I thought it was too sacred to me. I keep it in my office like a sacred shrine. It means so much to me. But then I was like, after watching all these videos and stuff, I'm like, you know what? There's this indoor amazing place in Kansas City called Tap-Ins. Okay, they have an outdoor putt, but also indoor. And depending on the weather, the whole thing, it's amazing atrium, and it's become a successful business. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? That's a perfect. It was a hot day. I'm like, it's a perfect thing to do. So my buddy Paul Greenwood, who I featured in my first book, we went and played around. And when I showed up with this bat putter, people were freaking out. They were literally losing their minds, and that's when I realized. So then, and then by the way, it was a Sunday, middle of the day, hot as heck. I want to see how it gets made, but you probably do actually.
I want to see if there's quality control testers there.
But attention! If anyone in the tops is watching, Grip and Rep we want to get invited to a tour at a factory. The two of us.
I told them I would work for free.
Right.
I would work absolutely free. I want to see how their stuff's made.
Yeah, I'm curious. But like collation is like I'm sure there's a bunch of engineers that sit around and design.
Got some breaking news for you.
Yeah.
Slab just texted me.
No way. What do you say?
Looks like this is the first year to hear it. Who is that? Right. Let me see here.
Breaking news. Grip and Rep. Breaking news.
Oh, U.S. agent. Okay, so I just got told that the finest mega boxes are going to be really, really, really good.
Oh, interesting.
1.6 numbered cards a box. So you're guaranteed one numbered card with a 60% chance to pull a second numbered card.
Wow,
and
interesting.
Autos are 1 in 3.
Whoa. So do you think that Topps decided to go big because this is their first year with Topps Finest in retail?
I'm going to say yes. Yes.
Right? Because
I do think so.
You usually get so upset with the delayed numbers, they're delaying them. Or maybe, by the way, I don't know if it's a conspiracy that the odds are coming out later. I just feel that maybe they're just not as efficient as they used to be.
You might have watched this game back
I'm sure I did.
Currently,
it's Derek Coleman. Yeah, he was on my fantasy team for sure.
Pretty crazy to think, in the future you would be able to collect that moment that you watched.
And by the way, check that out. It's worth $198 versus the ones that are worth 35 cents because it makes sense. Because the same way that you value your 1964 Willie Mays card, you're going to value your Drazen Petrovic, and you're not going to want to give it up unless it's for a very, very good price because you love that memory. And what's wild is the same way that you get the warm, fuzzy feeling with dopamine hit, whatever, when you look at a card on your shelf, it's the same thing. But when you're online at the bank, you don't have your cards with you, Paulie, but you do have your phone, and you can pull up your Drazen Petrovic and pay respect to him and watch a couple of his awesome plays that give you the warm fuzzies because you can. It's wild. And so